I've been doing videos for quite a while, and in the time I've been doing videos, I've made a few on console and computer-based games. Whether it's playing games at conventions, playing games that left me speechless, playing games that I don't really love or hate, or Sonic Freeriders, which I hate that review because I got a ton of stuff wrong in it. Hey, what up guys, it's Scarce here. Today the Media Wiz got a bunch of facts wrong and her. But the games that have the most impact with me are the ones that I either really liked or really hated. So we're gonna go back through some of my older game reviews and find which ones I think are my top 5 favorite and least favorite games that I've ever talked about. Let's start with the bad stuff so we don't end on such a dour note. This is the top 5 worst games I've ever reviewed. Banned from Equestria. I know this game has an audience, but simply put, I'm just not part of it. For a fan project, while the graphics do look passable and there's 2 levels that have actual gameplay, the rest of the game is just cheesecake.
So next level, you apparently screwed Trixie by deactivating her force field. And she rightfully yells at you for trying to have sex with her while she's asleep and unaware. I believe there's a word for stuff like that.
What? Rape. That's a rape. This is what raping is. You're a raper, you rape me. That's a rape.
Feels sick just showing these clips. And as for the Halloween mod, banned forever, it's just one level with a bunch of creepypasta references, which still wasn't enough for me anyway. The only reason Story of the Blanks didn't end up on this list is because it actually was a game with actual gameplay. It wasn't just cheap porn in disguise. Ed, Eddy Tiger Game. Something good like Ed, Eddy and mix it with something bad like Tiger Games, put it together and you get a mediocre piece of hardware that's just trying to capitalize on a popular franchise. Which, come to think of it, that pretty much summarizes everything Tiger's ever done. Calling this a game is a bit of an exaggeration. It's more a hunk of plastic and electronics stapled and crazy glued together. The gameplay, if you can call it that, is only 2 different modes of button pressing. That's about it. Gameplay is the Ed's faces collecting jars of coins. All you do is press the D-pad and push the grab button. It's that simple. The next level is even more simple than that. You just tap the grab button to pick up dollar signs. And then it's just those 2 things on rinse repeat for the entire thing until you eventually give out. The thing that kept Jawbreakers, Misadventures, and Scam of the Century off this list is that I could happily say that those were games with actual gameplay. They weren't good, but compared to this thing feels like it was made for monkeys. Barney's Hide and Seek. I know it's made for kids, but that is no excuse when you're making a product, especially one that is this lazy. Look, I don't like Barney. I eventually grew out of that kind of crap, but I can see why they would make a game about it. And while the graphics aren't too bad, the biggest insult is the gameplay. There is no challenge in this game. I knew there weren't going to be enemies that could kill you because that's too ballsy for a Barney game, but the one thing I thought would actually give the game some challenge, a timer, wasn't even in there. And to make matters worse, the game literally plays itself. I'm not making this up. You seriously could touch nothing on the controller and the game would play itself. I know that they would make it easy for the really young kids that would want to buy this game, but if the parents that bought it really wanted to plop their kids in front of something Barney related, just put the damn TV show on. Don't go through the effort of making a game if it doesn't pose any challenge or operate like a game. The next game that's on this list has the exact opposite problem. March of the Penguins on Game Boy. Like Barney's Hide and Seek, which was way too easy, this game is so hard it's impossible to play. First off, this is a game based on a documentary. Why? I'm not sure. Second, the challenge that this game presents is too ambitious for the game's own good. You're timed with 11 minutes to collect 12 snowflakes. You have to control a flock of penguins by moving them from the left to the right of the screen. You control them with various things to make them follow, jump, and get down from higher platforms, etc. It's just a bunch of irritating multitasking that makes the whole thing more annoying than fun. I could barely get past 1 level, let alone 12 of this crap. You know how many levels this game has? 12. There are 12 levels in this game, and I couldn't even get past the first one. But what could possibly be number 1? Skip it, just skip it. It's E.T. on Atari. I heard it was one of the worst games ever made, so I was up to the challenge. Having played the game at 2014 RetroCon in preparation for the Angry Video Game Nerd movie, I was more pissed while playing this than any other game I've ever played in my life. It isn't really a shock of why this game sucks, though. It was made by one guy in 1 month. And I still believe that this game is an important piece of gaming history.
For this game, video games wouldn't have evolved and we wouldn't have gotten Nintendo, Sega, or even the PlayStation and Xbox. This game made people petrified to make video games, and it was only Miyamoto who stepped up to the plate to re-evolutionize and get the 8-bit ball rolling again.
With that said though, it doesn't excuse how awful this game is and every little rushed asset that it has. The graphics, the gameplay, the sound bites, every element of this game was just one rushed hack job. Some of the good games that I've talked about. This is the top 5 best games that I've reviewed. Fighting is magic. Now this is an MLP game that I can appreciate. Take a cutesy little girl's cartoon and have them fight to the death like it's Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. Minus the blood. I was as giddy as a fanboy when I first discovered this game. I'm also really happy to report that the group behind the game, Main 6, seem to be working on another new project. So, my hat's off to you guys and best of luck. Also, if you didn't know about this, Hasbro gave them a cease and desist. Hasbro? You are literal copyright Nazis. Halo Wars. Now, I haven't played all the Halo games, so I don't really think I can be considered the ultimate Halo fan, but from the ones that I have played, I do enjoy the series, especially playing with my good buddy Jason Voorhees, the ultimate Halo fan of the channel. Halo Wars is a strategy game that deals with a small team trying to prevent an evil alien race from destroying all of humanity. Aside from the fighting scenes, which start off kinda confusing, but slowly get better as the levels progress, my favorite aspect of this game was the characters. You genuinely feel the drama between each of these people, and I even felt really sad when John dies at the end.
I have a feeling before this is over, we'll need every last Spartan in the fight. I can do this. Report back to the ship.
Good luck, sir. It's been an honor.
The only reason the game wasn't higher on the list is because I technically didn't review it. It was an alternate universe version of myself who was Zenith will rule for some reason. The Media Wiz, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just here for my obligatory cameo, of course. By the way, where's my $10 again?
Oh, of course, hang on. Here's a 10. Here you go.
And thank you. Well, good luck with the review.
AVGN Adventures. Reviewing a non-Christmas game in December, AVGN Adventures was a game that was very tricky and very difficult, but I found myself going back and trying to finish each level. With a lot of time and a lot of help, I eventually was able to beat it once. With all the little references to the Nerd web series and references to retro gaming in general, level Boo Haunted House. The last level is obviously supposed to be about LJN. This level takes elements from Super Mario World from the forest levels, the dungeon looking like it's from Castlevania, and the blocks look like they're from Tetris. Also gotta say, the music in this level kicks ass.
Fred Fox? Fred Fox!
I really did enjoy Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures a lot. And before you ask, no, I didn't play the sequel. Now what would happen if you took all the buzz that Slender generated and add a really deep and complex story around it? You get Amnesia, The Dark Descent, that's what. I still really loved this game, and I think the horror that was in this was a lot better than Slender, mainly because of the lore and the story that the game builds up. You find out more about Daniel, who he is, this orb thing that caused him to start seeing monsters and all the crap that chases after you in the game, leads to you meeting some Alexander guy who at first you like, but it turns out is a filthy child murderer. You try to kill him. It's insane stuff. And the game even gives you a bunch of different possibilities and outcomes with its endings, making it even more complex. And when you learn that Alexander is not a very good guy, Daniel tries to kill him. There are 3 potential endings. Kill Alexander and sacrifice yourself, kill Alexander and survive, or potentially sacrifice yourself and get saved. With beautiful graphics and a wonderfully macabre story, Amnesia takes the number 2 spot. Ed, Edd and Eddy, The Misadventures for Game Boy. I'm going to show my initial thoughts and then expand on it. The graphics are good, the gameplay is solid, the amount of levels is reasonable, and the game's like a triple apology for Jawbreakers, the GameCube version, and Scam of the Century. The game is a better Ed, Edd and Eddy Game Boy game than Jawbreakers was, it's a better Misadventures game than the GameCube version, and the gameplay's mechanics are even better than Scam of the Centuries. I remember playing this game so many times during the summer. I loved it that much. Even when I was too bored to go online, I kept going back to this game, beating each of the levels and enjoying it still. The gameplay with all the Ed's different attacks, the level design, the sprites of the characters, everything. As an Ed fan, this game left me so satisfied. Hell, this was the first game to make it on my shelf of the best. I loved it that much. And right over here we have the Game Boy version of Ed, Edd and Eddy The Misadventures. Still, I think this game's really good. It's way better than the GameCube version. It's probably the best Ed, Edd and Eddy game I've played, and so that's why it managed to rank on top of shelf of the best. Well, I'm the Media Wiz, because One Art Forum wasn't enough, and wait a minute, it's almost December. I gotta get ready for Red Ribbon Reviewers!
Eating the controller, thinking that controller, get over Halo Wars. Sitting on the sofa, sipping on some cola, and my fucking life is good. Hey! I could spend 1,000 years inside. I would go out, but you know that all I ever do is game. Every minute, all day.